Thanks, everybody. Can you hear me well? Yeah? All good. Alrighty. Welcome, everyone. Welcome here. We're happy to be in front of you guys today. I'm Clément, and this is Ed. We are both developers in the JIRA Service Desk team at Atlassian in Sydney. We are very happy to be in front of you today because we want to share a story with you. I'm sure you guys are aware about all the research and the surveys that are made all around the world about IT teams and about how they are mostly actually perceived as inefficient. The Atlassian IT team was inefficient before. It was kind of a shame. Our service desk agents were slammed, but this, sorry about that. But yeah, this was before automation for JIRA Service Desk. So let's get started. Before I deep dive into this talk, I'm going to try to give you a little bit of an overview about what we're going to try to cover today in this talk. So I'll start stating the problem that's happening in all of our IT teams we are in today, talking about efficiency, or inefficiency rather. We'll see how we can approach and solve this problem, adding automation for JIRA Service Desk into the mix. And finally, because we want you to have a good sense of what can be automated and what's good to automate, we'll go through a few use cases where automation is at play, and that will surely resonate with you. And of course, we'll finish by a Q&A session at the end of the talk. All right, let's get started. So you guys are probably already JIRA Service Desk users and agent users on a day-to-day basis, or at least you've already played a little bit with it, and you know what it's made of. But just as a little bit of a refresher, I'm going to go through this list of features that are displayed on the screen here, just to give you a sense of what's under the hood. So we've got this shiny and beautiful customer portal that your customers that you guys are servicing to raise their requests, but they ask for help. And then all these agents targeted features, this concept of queues, this multiple tickets in boxes that's configurable and helping you to focus on the right thing at the right time. Time tracking with SLAs and prioritizing for your queues. A beautiful reporting system. And finally, this knowledge-based self-serving mechanism, helping your customers using the portal to self-serve themselves and deflect tickets before they get created. Right? So this is awesome stuff. It's really, really good. We're really proud of it. But as well as it sounds really awesome, well, we've tried to learn about IT teams in the last few years and trying to understand how they work and what they go through on a day-to-day basis. And we've discovered quite a few things, quite a few interesting things that I'm going to show you right now. The first thing is that 52% of IT teams did not have enough resource to deliver the level of service they actually aspire to. That sounds a little bit scary. I don't know if you picture that, but if all of you guys in this audience were agents, more of the half of it would be actually feeling that way, right? If we keep going, let's dive further. 65% of the agents feel stressed at work. Wow, 65%, right? Let's keep going. 67% of a service desk time is actually spent on firefighting. Not awesome, right? And then, can we get even worse? Yes, we can. 79% of agents say they feel under pressure at work. That's not really awesome when you go to work, right? So it looks like we have a problem. So your IT teams and your service desk agents are overwhelmed. And this is a problem because you all agree that when your agents feel overwhelmed, it can only have negative impacts on your agents and your teams, right? What kind of impacts can it have? They become demotivated because of repetitive tasks, right? Picking the same task over and over and over again, one day after another. This is not something you want to do, right? And then they also forget about the important stuff. So many things to do, to tackle at once, keeping up with everything is really hard. So you just forget about the important stuff, right? Let's finish with the scariest stat ever. That actually comes from your customers that your agents are servicing, 93% of them agree that their service desk needs to be more efficient. 93%. How scary is that? If you want my gut feel, the last 7% of this 100% count actually forgot to respond to the survey. So here we go. We have a problem now, right? But I assume you probably have a question burning your lips right now. Couldn't we automate things a bit, right? Can't we do something for them that's like helping them to automate this? Because you'll agree with me, today, automation is everywhere. Like, at home, nobody wants to do that, right? It is literally everywhere, for everything. Yeah? Did I say it was everywhere? It is everywhere, okay? But what about in IT? What about in JIRA Service Desk? This is what you guys are here for today, right? How do we model this concept of automation in a product for IT teams that JIRA Service Desk is? Well, at the time we actually start tackling this problem and figuring out what we needed to do to help your agents. We didn't know much about what were exactly the pain points that you are facing on a day-to-day basis. So we went to you and interviewed you and gathered all the pain points that you're going through on a day-to-day basis. And we've understood that most of these problems are actually falling into two types of categories, two types of main buckets. The first one being the repetitive tasks that I mentioned earlier, right? All these tasks that are happening every day, that your agents are solving every day for all the people in your organization. All these things. I'm sure you all face that. And the second one, the things that your agents don't want to forget about. Maybe some important SLAs, maybe some tickets that you want to ping customers for input, or tickets that you need to escalate, right? So here we go. We have these two buckets. Now, how do we solve this? Should we expect that your companies hire more people to actually tackle these problems? No, we can't. But can we automate and help your agents a little bit? Sure we can, right? We have all the power for this. And we just need to ship it into the product, all right? So at this point, we try to picture something, to imagine a world where this flowchart that is displayed on the screen at the moment, when A happens, if B is true, well then do C. We've tried to imagine a world where this is actually a thing for JIRA Service Desk, right? Something that would look like, I don't know, maybe something like this, right? This actually perfectly maps to the flowchart that I was displaying before. When A happens, if B is true, then do C. How cool would that be if that was a thing for your JIRA Service Desk? Well, I say it would be actually automagic, right? This would be automagic, and it actually is automagic. Because I was just showing up the JIRA Service Desk automation engine UI, and I'm introducing the automation for JIRA Service Desk. And now I'm going to let Ed step in, and I'm going to introduce you to the automation feature available for cloud and server installations and extensible endlessly. Ed, please.
Cool. So I'm going to walk you through the automation features of Service Desk. And then we'll go through some examples of how automation can help your teams become more efficient, save time, and focus on the things that really matter, such as resolving incidents or focusing and making sure customers have the best experience possible. But to start things off, we'll go through some terminology. Similar to the slide Clement showed earlier, in Service Desk, we define rules to kind of tell the automation engine what to do. The first part of a rule is the when component. And this is the thing that triggers the rule. So for example, when an issue is created, when an issue is commented, that sort of thing. The next is the if. So this is the filter. So you can filter using things like JQL, if the comment contains this, if the user who did it is this person, that sort of thing. And then finally, we have the then. And that's kind of like the thing the rule actually goes and does. And so together, these are the components that make up the rule. pretty cool. So now I'm just going to show you how easy it is to actually use in Service Desk. So currently we have no rules set up, so we'll just click the button, get started. So what you'll see is that we actually ship a bunch of blueprints out of the box so you guys can get started really quickly. So we'll start by selecting Set Customer Expectations. And so the first thing we do is we give the rule a meaningful name that matches what we're after. So something like that. And then we review this. We'll change the if statement. So we'll actually add a JQL filter here so that only matches blocker issues, right? Because that's what we want to match in this particular rule. And then we add a comment that tells the customer that we'll be with them within an hour. So for blocker issues, we set the expectation. Click Save, and that's it. Wait, yes, Save. Cool, and that's it. It's really simple to set up out of the box. And so now to see in action, we'll go to the customer portal, and we'll create a ticket. So we'll create a simple ticket like, my keyboard's broken, doesn't work. It stops me from doing work. So I consider this to be a blocker issue. So I can't type, it's kind of bad. I don't know how this is being raised, but beside the point. So we'll create the ticket, and you'll see that the automation rule actually creates the comment off the bat, from that rule. And so now we have a rule to set customer expectations. So as I mentioned earlier, we ship a bunch of blueprints out of the box, and this is so that you guys can get started quickly when you first get the product. And the blueprints that we ship out of the box are basically the rules that can be used by every team. So for example, the update instance when link problem transitions, that one, we shipped that 2 weeks ago to cloud. So we're constantly adding new rules and blueprints as we improve the product and where it makes sense. And that's really cool. But in our research, we discovered that each team had slightly different requirements for what they wanted to automate. And in order to kind of cater for that, the only way to make that possible is to make it possible to extend automation, right? So each of the rule components are actually extensible to suit your specific needs. And here are some of the examples that we may not ship out of the box, but it's easier to do if you extend the automation engine. And it's really the key to making sure that the engine solves your specific problems in your specific environments. So let's dive a bit deeper about how you can extend these components. So now before everyone gets too worried, just want to say, we have docs. Everything is documented up on developers.atlassian.com, and we'll be providing a link to this at the end of the talk. So the next part is probably going to be the most technical part of the talk, and if you want to dive even deeper, you can come find us afterwards, and we can show you some more concrete examples, I guess. So what you see here is the module you need to define in your Atlassian XML plugin. In this particular example, we're writing a then component that will make a phone call to someone. So I'm going to highlight some of the interesting parts. So we have this class here, this call me maybe class, which is the class that gets triggered, that defines the action when you do the then. And then we have these two classes here, which is the visualizer and the validator. And what they do is, if you need extra fields for your rule, then you can add them here. So for example, we need a phone number if you want to give someone a call, and we can validate it to make sure that's all good. In terms of difficulty, if any of you guys have experience with Script Runner, then this shouldn't be a problem. So Script Runner is a popular add-on in Marketplace, and a lot of people have been using this as their automation engine. And if you've had experience with that, then writing an add-on for automation is about that hard or easy. Anyway, after we define that rule, we install our custom plugin onto our instance, and we can update this inform Clement rule to, instead of alerting him with a comment, we can change it to alert him with a phone call. Right? So we can just edit. You can see it's there. If anyone wants to quickly copy down Clement's number, it's just quickly on the screen. But anyway, we enter the number, we save it, and then that's it. We've added a custom component that we've installed onto our instance that we can use. So to summarize it quickly, automation out of the box gives you powerful blueprints to get started, but extending it is really straightforward. It's well documented, and it will definitely solve your specific problems. So now I'm going to go through some examples of some of the use cases that you would potentially use automation for. So meet Shan. Shan wants to eliminate trivial tasks. Shan hates doing password resets. It's one of the top 5 things that gets requested of her internal IT service desk. And they need to action it quickly because it actually blocks her customers from getting work done. And it's trivial, but it happens all the time. Like if her team's focused on an incident, then these tasks get in the way or they get forgotten. So Shan really doesn't want to do these password resets anymore. So what can we do? Obviously, we just define an automation rule. So first we start with when an issue is created, and then we filter the issue using a JKL component so that if the request is a password reset request for this internal system, then we can write a then component that will automatically reset that user's password. And so under the covers, this would probably do a REST call to the internal system, but that's it. You just build something like this, and then Shan is happy. She doesn't have to do password resets anymore on that system ever again. Now, the first 2 components of this actually ship out of the box in JIRA Service Desk. And the last one can be implemented fairly easily, calling your internal system any way you want. Next up, we have Sophia. Now, Sophia wants to work faster and smarter. Remember, 93% of people wish their IT teams were more efficient. Now, Sophia knows this and wants to improve the output of her team. But what she's found is that triaging tickets into the correct queue sometimes slows down her team. The task is manual, so Sophia needs to be the one doing it, and if she doesn't do it, it doesn't get done, and because her teams work off queues, if they don't get triaged properly, they either get, there's a delay in answering the question, or the ticket might get missed altogether. So Sophia wishes that the ticket would just kind of land in the right queue from the start. So again, we start with when an issue is created. Then we can say, if the email address of the reporter is this particular domain, then we can add like a managed externally label to it. So what this means is that, even though they're using the same customer portal to create their fields, different users actually land in different queues because of this particular automation rule. And then now Sophia doesn't need to manually add these labels for this small subset of customers. And she doesn't need to go and give them a separate, portal or anything. They can use the same portal. Now in this case, the when component ships out of the box, and the if and then components can be easily built. And this is actually the example that our docs go through. So if you follow through our docs, these 2 are the components that you will learn to build. And lastly, we have Robert. So Robert and his team is really focused on customer experience and making sure that they are doing the right thing by their customers. Robert measures customer experience using CSAT and NPS surveys. And one of the things that became clear after looking at all the feedback was that the customers that were raising urgent tickets were consistently giving low ratings. They were complaining about really poor communication, missing SLAs, and things like that. So digging further down, Robert found that it was often because his team was investigating an incident and would forget to update the ticket. It wasn't that they weren't doing anything, it was just that they were deep in it, right? And so he wants, how can we prevent this from happening? Well, we can create an automation rule. So when an SLA is, say, 30 minutes away from breaching, if it's a blocker issue, because these are the issues that they're slipping on, then we can send a HipChat message to Robert automatically, so then he can go, oh, okay, I need to remember to update this ticket, even though I'm deep in it. So now Robert will be contacted directly through HipChat and be alerted about these urgent issues, and he can update the customer. But what if Robert is busy or unavailable? Well, we can create another rule to make sure that these tickets don't get forgotten outright. So when the SLA is breached, and now we trust Robert to keep on top of things, but obviously if something does breach, then we can send a HipChat message to his entire team, and the team can work together to kind of resolve that incident or problem. So they can work together to make sure the customer is getting a good experience, the customer is happy. So out of the box, JIRA Service Desk ships the SLA when conditioned, so that's 30 minutes from breach, when it's breached, etc., and the JCall component. And the last one can be extended easily using both the automation APIs and the HipChat APIs. And that's it. That problem's solved. Now, if you want to learn more about JIRA Services and what we're doing, we have the IT keynote tomorrow, which I highly recommend everyone goes to. And if you want to hear more kind of customer use cases about how, in this case, how Oscar Insurance uses HipChat, Bitbucket, and JIRA Services to run their business, they have a talk here in the Enhanced Room tomorrow at 1 p.m. So to wrap everything up, remember, automation helps you focus on the right tasks. You don't get distracted by trivial tasks. You focus on the right things, which is resolving incidents and making sure customers have a good experience. And you can automate a lot of things. sky's the limit. Like you can automate, like in each of your environments, you have things that you can automate that, that can help your agents become more efficient, that can keep your customers up to date quicker, and just make sure they have an overall good experience. I see a lot of photos, interesting. Anyway, and lastly, come and see us in the JIRA Service Desk area. We have a demo booth out there. We'd love to hear, your stories and just want to chat in general. Yeah, thank you. That's a dev guide.
We do have some time for some questions. So,
we have heaps of time for questions.
so we have some questions here in the app. So ask them of Ed.
Okay. Actually, maybe stand away from the.
Go up on stage. There we go.
Hello?
Okay.
You still hear me? Yep. So is this also available in core?
Sorry? What?
Is this also available in core, in JIRA Core?
So so automation is not available in JIRA Core. So JIRA Core have things that can do like automatically schedule tasks. So they have a scheduler that can schedule tasks like this. But the automation engine, all the use cases that we found were customer specific, were service specific. And so that's why we built it into Service Desk first. We haven't heard like a really strong outcry for saying, oh yeah, we really, really need this in core. Like there are other mechanisms that you can do it in JIRA Core that aren't as customer focused as this. I hope that answers the question.
Next one is, can we automate knowledge base to pull keywords from both Confluence and JIRA?
Yes. Is that it? Okay. Yes, you can pull keywords from both Confluence and JIRA. With like, I don't know, that seems like a very vague question. I'm not sure what the particular use case is.
Sky's the limit, so yeah, there's no limit.
Yeah.
How can a group be notified rather single users in a rule? You mean notifying through HipChat? Is it what
Okay,
the
so
question was about?
I know that group mentions is a thing that people really, really want in JIRA that is coming in the future, potentially, maybe. I'm not sure. Ask a JIRA PM. But currently, the automation engine, when it does the alert user, it's alerting a specific user using the @mention mechanism. So it doesn't currently support group mentions, so we can't support mention groups like that. You could obviously write a custom add-on that would say email a group list. You could add a comment in a HipChat room, that sort of thing. Or you can also mention specific multiple users in that particular rule, but there's no mention of groups yet.
Is Confluence required for the knowledge base features of JIRA? And if not, are there any benefit to using Confluence with Service Desk?
Yes and yes. So when you're on the customer portal and you have Confluence linked up, and the customers like say, there's a search bar and you say type printer or something, then it will actually search the Confluence KB and give the customer suggestions first. And yes, that currently the only thing that integrates with that is Confluence.
And the last one is, how difficult is the customization in server instances versus cloud instances?
So this is currently a server-only feature because you need to install a P2 style plugin. We are looking in the future to make this available in Atlassian Connect so that it can be written for cloud as well. So these type of things can be written for cloud, but this is server-only currently.
Just to clarify this, the feature is available in both worlds.
So
it's
the automation,
just the customization that's not available in cloud.
Yes, that. Right. So automation is available in both, but you can only extend it in server because it's a P2 system, not a P3 system.
And that's it with the questions list.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, so just a few pieces of housekeeping here. You guys want to turn your packs off there, so. Let's